Well, hello everyone. It is Friday, the 29th of September, 2023. I am Delbridge, Benchmark Realty, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and today is a special day because we have our magic stack of floating papers out here in the aether. So anyway, we got some football tomorrow, but I've been too busy to even see who's playing who. I don't think there's any really big games. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, University of Kentucky is going to play the Gators. And although the Wildcats are 4-0, I think the Gators are favored to win by 2.5 or something like that, if that's correct. Anyway, got two good teams there. I really like Coach Stoops, and the coach for the Gators is a young fella. I like to see young folks succeed and win. And Mr. Billy Napier seems to have some respect for his elders, for the people that helped get him where he was. And I think he credits that a lot to Nick Saban, the elder statesman probably of football as we know it. He also helped shape Kirby. Of course, he obviously recognized Kirby's natural talent when he hired him, but he's also had some bad hires too, so there are some successes and some failures. So let's get into today's show right after this. If you like this content, please go to CallDelToSell.com, find the tab that says on YouTube, click it, and it'll open up a page of QR codes. There you can use a smartphone to scan and get to the YouTube page, or you can just mouse over and click it on a PC. There you'll be able to subscribe to this little button over here and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you when each Friday's blog has been uploaded. Thank you. Well, what do you know? We have our magic floating papers over here in Studio O, just like we have in Studio K. So there, we really are having a special day. So I've got one thing for you I want to bring up. This is from a real estate news. I don't think I've used these in the past. And it is from Mr. Dave Gallagher, September 28th. That would have been yesterday if I'm any judge of September 28th. This is available on the internet. I'll put the link to this like I do, news sources. I'll put them in the description of the status chat over on the YouTube page where the status chat exists. The clickbait here is mortgage rates soar to a 23-year high. Yep, that's what it did, even though, we've had two pauses by the Fed in light of the fact that inflation is actually going back up. We've had the PCE, which is the one the Fed actually uses, not the CPI. It went up again, and I didn't feel like you needed to hear that story or one of the many stories on that today, so I thought I'd come to this. It says, even as interest rates climb, home prices aren't budging, a combo which may put the brakes on the housing market. Well, that's not exactly the most cheerful thing, but I do want to point to this because we've talked about it in past episodes. People are just absolutely resistant to alter their price of their homes. It is a mental thing. If they had an unusual span of growth and value and somebody's ever told them that, they ever get that in their minds, it's really hard for the average person, sometimes even myself, to take that and say, yeah, but that was then, this is a new day. Every market that is a different day, has a different reality to it. And we just have a hard time doing that. So what we see is a reluctance for the prices to come down. And most people are willing to, despite what the actual analysis may be, to hold on to get a mental price that they have in their head for their property, even if they have to stretch out the transaction time even longer. So there is a time value of money in that, and that's sometimes hard to really sort out. And none of us have a crystal ball. But the key points, it says, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage averaged 7.31 this week, up significantly from 7.19. I actually saw it over 7.5 in the Mortgage News daily rates, the daily survey. So it's been up, and I think it is now back down just under 7.5. We also have an inverted curve on our bond rates. What that generally means is if your short-term rates usually pay less than your long-term rates, because the idea is we don't want to, if we're going to tie our money up for a long period of time, we want a little bit more comeback for it. And usually the short-term money is short-term money. They'll make it and they'll be done. But when the short-term money goes up and the long-terms come down, it's an indication that people, whoever people are thinking that rates will come down in the future. So what I'm telling you as a watcher of my weekly production, that you can watch the long-term Treasury notes and see if their price starts to rise. Because if their price starts to rise, it means that the people who are buying them are beginning to think that we are going to be in for a longer inflationary period where we have mortgage rates and interest rates and credit card rates up a little higher. So that's an indicator you can look for sentiment in the market. again, it's worth what you pay for the show, which is it's free, right? Seasonal factors could lower home prices in the coming weeks, which may convince buyers worried about even higher rates to jump in. Now, this is actually a good thing. While we are slowed down significantly, we are coming into the time of year when we seasonally slow down. And if the mindset of the people are, well, it's just going to get worse before it gets better, they may actually jump in and we might see some increase in inventories that we wouldn't normally see if you could think of it as being seasonally adjusted. Down below it says mortgage interest rates surged upward again this week, reaching the highest levels since 2000. That was easy for me to stutter through. The average 30-year fixed rate loan landed at 7.31 this week, according to the latest Freddie Mac survey. Remember, I was quoting not a weekly survey, but a daily survey. That's a big jump from last week's 7.19. So if we just took those 2 points, it looks like it skyrocketed up. And it did take a big jump. But remember, the markets are fickle and they react up and down. So we do see some volatility, and we've seen some this week. Look at there. They're even quoting my source, Mortgage News Daily. The daily rate has trended even higher, according to Mortgage News Daily. The survey put the 30-year rate at 7.62 on September 28th. That would have been the day this was written. When rates were similar levels 2 decades ago, home prices declined. Now, this is an important thing I want to point on this. They're telling us what happened 20 years ago. What I think is different for us is we weren't having the high inflation, the runaway inflation on energy and everything. We weren't being threatened by $100 a barrel oil, and we weren't being tickled with the possibility that we may hit $150 a barrel before the end of 2024. So we don't know. This is nice to know, but I'm not sure it really is as clutch of a thought as it may appear. These headwinds are causing both buyers and sellers to hold out for better circumstances, Cather said. Now, I've got this week's numbers. I've already pulled them, and there is a big change, and I'm not sure I believe it's real. I'm thinking it might be a software problem, but if it is, it's definitely making some sense from what Mr. Cather or Miss Cather said. Even more prospective buyers are sitting on the sidelines pretending that sales were down 7.1 in August, offering a preview of where home sales may be headed this fall. I said pretending, that's pending. It is late at night when I'm doing this episode. Please forgive me. It's been a busy week filled with a lot of different things going on. We're not going to read all of this, but for buyers and agents looking for a ray of hope in the current climate, home prices tend to fall at this point of the year because we're getting ready to go into the gray period, out of the green into the gray. But big declines are unlikely, again, because inflation is higher. Your house is built with stuff. It's filled with stuff. Stuff is costing more money. If nothing else was affecting the price of your homes, there's a good chance that inflation is going to try to keep it higher. And we add that to that mental roadblock, that hurdle that people have to get over, that 2019, 2020, 2021, and those big peak years as we came off of COVID and we had pent-up demand, it's going to be a little harder to do. The 7+ mortgage rate puts the brakes on the housing markets in terms of sales. It does not necessarily mean major price drop. See, I can't even say the word drop today. Sorry about that, getting a little tongue-tied. All right, I think that's pretty well much all I can stumble through and make you suffer through my reading-itis today, and we'll hit this and hit those numbers for this week and be done. How about that? Hello, I'm Delbridge of Benchmark Realty, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. If you are currently unrepresented and would like to know how to compare up to 3 properties side by side and room by room, then go over to my new YouTube channel, CallDelToSell. That's 1 L and Del, no spaces. Watch the demo on Real Scout, and then call me and we'll set up your exclusive ad-free account today. All right, now as I indicated, if I haven't lost you by now, that according to the real estate news article that I just read, we were expecting some big changes because people are getting really apprehensive. People don't want to sell their house for what they view as a loss, so they're holding on, and the higher rates are pending out there, and they're jumping up, and people really are putting the brakes on, thinking, like so many in the industries, with that inverted curve, thinking, well, rates will get better in the future. I'm not sure that that's a wise thing to wait on, simply because we had 2 pauses in the Fed rate in the last 2 months in light of accelerating, reversing indicators. So if you want to start looking on your own for that 10-year bond, the longer bonds to come up in in percentage. If they start coming up, it's an indicator that people are not necessarily buying that the rates are coming down, and we'll still have that nagging inflation coming at us. Last week, 9/22/23, we had 19,443 in the opportunities, that's coming soons, and the ones that are available. That was up over the previous period. We had 3882 in the under contracts still showing. And the ratio, just a simple indicator, the ratio of those two numbers to each other was 20%. Now this week, this is what looks a little suspicious, but it's what the system said. 9/29/23, we had 14,000 even, and I actually have to split the price ranges to get in subtotal that number. To get that big number over 10,000, I have to manually find a split point and do that. 14,000 it said, and that would be a significant drop in the opportunities. And 3,700 were the under contract still showing. That's down a little bit, but not a great deal. And the integer ratio between those skyrocketed to 26%. Again, I don't know if that is accurate. It just may be what the computer system is spitting out, but that's what it said. So we're going to leave it off here today, and I appreciate you sitting through my tongue-tidedness that I had earlier, which reminds me, roll tide.